17, although it really doesn't officially start until tomorrow. We are at the Gaylord National Resort and Convention Center in National Harbor in beautiful Maryland. Kellyanne Conway will be here tonight. Dr. Sebastian Gorka, Matt Schlapp, and we're going to be taking questions from this wonderful audience. How are you all doing? Are you all happy with the last 30 days? How many of you are irredeemable, deplorable Americans? How many cling to your God, your guns, your Bible, and religion? How many are thankful to the high heavens Barack Hussein Obama is gone? How many think the media in this country is so fundamentally dishonest and corrupt? Are you ready to help stop America's precipitous decline? Are you excited about the opportunity to fix this country? Are you? All right, I want to hear loud applause, no applause. How happy are you with President Trump's first 30 days? They're amazing. What is this? This is a historic opportunity for us to get this country together. You know, I spent an entire year last year. This is how corrupt the media is. You know, you go back to 2007, 2008. Remember I was doing something called vetting Barack Obama? Do you all remember that? All right, if you weren't watching, you have to leave, okay? All right, so I'm vetting Obama. So here's a guy that is an Alinsky disciple, learns from a communist Frank Marshall Davis. What is an acorn organizer? How does that qualify you to be a dog catcher? I don't get it. And then, of course, he goes to the Church of GD America. The media was a year later than when I broke the story. Reverend Wright did one interview during that election cycle. It was with me, and he never showed up back on television again. I'm very proud of that. And imagine if Donald J. Trump, our president, if he started his political career in the home of an unrepentant terrorist, part of a group that bombed the Pentagon, the Capitol, New York City Police Headquarters, and on 9/11/2001 of all days was quoted as saying, "I wish we had done more in terms of terrorist activities." How many times, can anyone answer, I want to see how smart this crowd is, how many times did our corrupt alt-left propaganda media ever ask Barack Obama the question about his association with Bill Ayers? Zero. Wrong. Sorry. Not zero. One time. And you know what? Want to know why? Because Georgie Stephanopoulos, Clinton sycophant, I couldn't resist. He was on my radio show the day before he was hosting a debate. I fed him the question. He didn't even know who Bill Ayers was at the time. If it was Donald Trump, Bill Ayers, Bernardine Dohrn, how many times do you think the American corrupt, liberal, leftist, lazy, overpaid media outlets would have asked the question? Right? You know, by the way, this is Hollywood, one of our guys, and right over there, George W. Bush calls him the bear. They're good guys. We've worked together 20 years. They're my friends. You know, we have an opportunity, but we have forces that are working very hard against us. You've got the Snowflake Brigade, okay? The paid protesters, those people that, you know, have nothing better to do. They don't work like the rest of us, so they go to protest to protest. Then you've got the Democratic establishment. Day one, they're talking about impeachment because they're crybabies and whiners and they lost and they can't admit it. Then we've got the media with all their corruption. They've basically declared war on President Trump, and they want to do everything they can do to hurt his opportunity to help this country. And then we got Republicans that have shown that they're weak and feckless and spineless. And it's time for them to get off their ass and do their job. That's what it's time for them to do. You know, I want to say, because this is so important, what we want is not that complicated. All last year, I gave out statistics every single day on the program. I repeated myself on purpose, not because I like to hear myself talk. We have 95 million of our fellow Americans out of the labor force, the lowest labor participation rate since the 70s. We have in America today 50 million people that are on food stamps. That is 13 million more than when Barack Obama became president. We have 8 million Americans, our fellow friends, neighbors, maybe relatives, they live in poverty. 50 million total, 8 million more since Obama was president. We had the worst recovery since the 1940s, the lowest home ownership rate in 51 years. We have literally the only president that never in 1 year of his presidency reached 3% GDP growth. Not one time. What is it that we want as conservatives? We're all conservative libertarian here, right? Okay, we won the election, the snowflakes lost. What do we want to do? It's simple. We want to keep our country safe. We want to keep our country secure. That's not that hard. Is it really tough to vet people that are going to be guests coming into our house? Unlike the left and the media, I'm not willing to gamble with your life or the life of any other American. Is it really? We have an estimated 8 million illegal immigrants. I've been down to the border 12 times. I've said this many times. I've been on helicopters, boats, all-terrain vehicles. If you really want to laugh, look at me on horseback. I've been to drug warehouses as big as this room, floor-to-ceiling drugs that were aimed to come to this country for your children, your friends, your relatives, and poison our kids. Nobody seems to talk about that. I went to a security briefing with Governor Rick Perry. 642,000 Texans were victims of crime, including rape and murder in some instances, in a 7-year period by illegal immigrants. So Donald Trump wants to vet refugees. I say that's fair, that's moral, and the right thing to do. I don't think it's too much to ask that if you want to come to our country, that you obey our laws and sovereignty. I don't think that's too much to ask. Then you look at, okay, well, what's the rest of Donald Trump's agenda? Obamacare, we didn't keep our doctors, we didn't keep our plans, and we didn't save $2,500 per family per year. He lied. Yes, ma'am. In the 8 years he was president, health care costs for the average family in this country went up $5,400, and that does not include 2016. And if you live in Arizona, it just went up this year alone another 117%. On average, it went up another 35%. Aetna said it's in a death spiral, the CEO of Aetna. And Humana just pulled out for 2018. So I want Republicans to show the backbone and keep the promise that they have given in the last 8 years. Repeal and replace this thing. Healthcare savings accounts, competition, free market competition, portability, take it from job to job. Also, we'll deal with pre-existing conditions. We're going to have to help the poor people one way or the other. We're not going to let them die. We don't want what they have in Great Britain and National Health Services. So the agenda is not hard. How about an economic plan? Isn't it great? How did Donald Trump get Carrier to stay? How did Donald Trump talk Ford into staying and not bringing plants to Mexico? How did he keep Fiat, Chrysler? You notice every company now wants to meet with the president and say, I'm spending $7 trillion right now, because they want the free publicity. But also they know that better times are ahead, because if the president is able, with the help of Congress, to fulfill his economic plan, think of what we've got. We've got multinational corporations, trillions of dollars parked overseas. They won't bring the money back because they're going to have to pay confiscatory taxes. Donald Trump, our president, says we'll give you a 10% rate, bring the money back, build your factories here, invest in America, build your manufacturing centers here, and let the forgotten men and women in Detroit, Michigan, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, in Cleveland, Ohio, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, let them have opportunities that they have. Yeah, America first. So his economic plan is 7 brackets to 3. His economic plan is a 15% corporate tax rate, which will go from the highest in the industrialized world to one of the lowest. We'll incentivize corporations to say, we'll build those factories, and all those men and women in poverty out of the labor force, on food stamps, can now see the American dream come back for them. And I speak from very blue-collar roots. I spent 20 years of my life as a blue-collar worker. I washed dishes, I was a cook, I was a busboy, I was a waiter, I was a bartender, not a really good time in my life. I didn't quite behave in those years, just like you young kids. Stop laughing, I heard you. I know what goes on here at night, I've seen it. And then I worked in construction. I was a house painter. I hung wallpaper. I framed houses. I did roofing. I fell off a roof 3.5 stories, hit the ground, woke up, and finally common sense kicked in. I was a conservative. True story. And then, well, this part of my arm from here down was dangling like this. I go, and I clicked it back in. It was like a 1 in a million shot, the doctor told me. But I did all those jobs, and I will tell you right now that the lying, corrupt media that never vetted Obama, that never told you the truth about Obama, the lying liberal media that never told you the truth about Hillary. How bad was the WikiLeaks revelations that showed a media colluding with the campaign of Hillary Clinton to try and undermine then-candidate Donald Trump? It is the single most corrupt, revealing moment about media bias, disinformation, propaganda, distortion, and outright lies that they're willing to tell. They gave her the questions at CNN, I know. Could you, fake news, fake news. All right, of all of the media outlets, which one was the worst? CNN. Which one? CNN. I can't hear you. Here's my thing. I want to just add one point, and then we're going to bring our guests out. And by the way, it is an honor to be back with you now, my 3rd year in a row. And thank you. I want to say this. The media is against our president. We have Democrats against the president. We have freaky, weird snowflakes against the president. And we even have weak Republicans against the president. Rhinos, yes. You cannot expect to vote in November and accomplish this agenda of extreme vetting. This agenda, he kept his promise. Neil Gorsuch, an originalist on the court. Right? He's keeping his promise to repeal and replace health care. He's keeping his promise to build the wall. He's keeping his promise on building the military, on saving the VA, and keeping our promise to our brave men and women that serve this country. For him to be successful, he's going to need every one of you in this room to stay engaged, to fight, to help, to call, and to be active in the process. Are you all willing to do that? I can't hear. Are you all willing to do that? Okay. You ready to have a big show tonight? Yeah! All right, we'll take a break. Coming up, we're just getting things started. We're at CPAC 2017. Special counsel to the president, and that's President Trump. Kellyanne Conway's in the house. She's next. And also, Deputy Assistant to the President, Dr. Sebastian Gorka, will be here. And later, we're going to be taking questions for this very smart, bright, intuitive, brilliant crowd because they're not with Occupy Wall Street. We'll continue.